British woman who was climbing Mount Everest has had to be airlifted to hospital after being brutally attacked by a yak. Well, the climbing season has started, and with it comes new rules to protect the peak, which has been described as the world's highest rubbish heap.
Well, the deteriorating environment has led to calls to ban tourists from the mountain, as has the danger. Last year, 18 people died, believed to be the worst year on record. 7 were local guides or members of the Nepalese army trying to clean up the mountain. We're joined now by mountaineer Alan Hinkes and the environmental campaigner Donnachadh McCarthy. Thank you both so much. Alan, you know, from your experience and the kind of challenge and relishing seeing those incredible views, what is it that makes climbing so appealing and something like Everest?
Well, I guess Everest, obviously, is the highest mountain in the world, so it is a great achievement to do it. And it's not as dirty as people make out. Modern expeditions are more environmentally aware, and they have vested interests because they're going year after year. They go every year at this time in March, April, May. So it's not as dirty as it's made out. But yeah, there is some equipment abandoned, shall I say, you know, little bits of it. It's iconic as Everest, I guess. And you know, sometimes it gets denigrated and people say it's easy because there's fixed ropes there which help you get to the top, and there's guides like me can help you get to the top, and the local Nepalese Sherpas, so you can pay quite a lot of money and have a reasonable chance of getting to the top. But it should never be denigrated because, you know, it is dangerous. As you just said, people get killed every year. And there is only a handful of people ever summited Everest, let's say a few thousand, in double figures probably. And that's not many when you think about it, when there's 8 billion people on the planet.
How would you counter that, Donnachadh? Just in terms of that, Alan says it's a great thing to do. Lots of people interested in climbing. It is regulated. Money goes into the Nepalese economy as well.
Yeah, we have to actually also remember the climate impacts of long-haul tourism. A family of 4 flying to Nepal emits around 8 tons of carbon. To put that in context, they would have to turn all their electricity off for 16 years before they would make up that amount of pollution. And the impacts of climate breakdown on Nepal is already unfolding. They have lost 30% of the ice pack in the Himalayas in Nepal, and it's having huge impact on their agriculture industry. 70% of the Nepalese GDP economy depends on agriculture, and climate change is giving them horrific floods and horrific droughts and impacting on their economy already. So I think we need to start thinking about holiday in Britain, rock climbing in Britain, mountain climbing in Britain. We can get trains to the Alps from Britain. We don't need to cross the planet and destroy the planet to actually do these type of adventures.
Alan, how do you answer the I think, very legitimate concerns about doing something like climbing Everest does come along with some climate consequences, chiefly in how you get there?
Well, so does anything. You know, you talk about, you know, there's going to be traffic jams today in Britain. That's going to have a massive climate impact, you could say. Or does it? But, you know, at the end of the day, whatever man does is going to affect certain amount of the climate, certainly going to add to pollution. I don't think not going to Nepal is the answer. The Nepalese need us to go there. That's all they've got. They haven't got any coal mines, they haven't got any shipbuilding, they haven't got any other industry. They've only got tourism, really. And they welcome tourists and they need tourists. So, I mean, going climbing in Britain is great, but that doesn't mean you're going to get up the highest mountain in the world. It doesn't mean you're going to help the Nepalese unless you send them charity, I guess.
Do you think the sort of the beauty, Alan, of climbing Everest has maybe been slightly tarnished or spoilt? All of us will be able to bring to mind pictures of those long queues of people waiting to summit. Has it lost something special that it had when you did it?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, I did it a long time ago, last century, 1996, and there was only 3 of us on the summit. There's no doubt it's not the same as it was, but neither are most mountains. You know, if it's a nice weekend, you can get 6,000 people on Snowdon. Whereas Everest might only have a few hundred. And yes, there's that picture of 200 people in a queue, but that's on one day. The next day, there might be nobody. And the day after that, there might be 30. And the day after that, nobody. So there's nobody on Everest at the moment. They'll all be trekking in next month, getting ready to climb and summiting in May. And then there'll be nobody on Everest again, climbing Everest until April next year. There will be trekkers going to base camp, and they help the economy more than climbers because there's thousands of trekkers trekking Nepal. So I would encourage people to go to Nepal, contrary to what the other chaps said. The Nepalese are lovely people. It's a great place. Nepal's nearly as nice as Yorkshire. Go there and help the Nepalese.
Donnachadh, doesn't Alan have a really good point there? It's one thing to climb a mountain in this country, but it's quite something different to challenge yourself to climb in Nepal. Also, tourism, as Alan says, is the biggest source of income for
That's
them.
not true.
Sorry, let me just finish. They have permits, you have to be regulated, so you've got money coming into Nepal. This is a country that desperately needs it.
Well, I mean, I think Alan's entitled to his joy of actually flying across the planet and trashing it. However, he's not entitled to his facts. The fact is 6% of the Nepalese economy comes from tourism, and they're already spending 5% on the impacts of the extreme weather it's triggering. So it's almost already a net loss for Nepal. 70% of the population depends on the agriculture. With droughts and floods, that agriculture gets decimated. This is the talk of a rich person. Only 4% of the planet flies abroad every year, David, and that is a rich elite. The 1% of the top world's population, which Alan is part of, emits 66% of the emissions of the poorest part of the planet. And we cannot continue this way. It's a rich look. You look, for example, one of the interesting points about this yak story is it was by a woman who was on a charity raising trip. Now, it costs between 30,000 and 130,000 to have so people like Alan supporting you to get to the top of the Himalayas. Why not spend that £130,000 on charity and on actually investing in Nepal and helping its economy rather than destroying it?
Well, Donnachadh, would you support maybe an idea that says, look, you can climb Everest, but it comes along with an even more significantly high price tag, let's say pricing of carbon offsetting?
Well, if you want to actually, if it costs you £160,000 to climb it, spend £160,000 fee to actually help the Nepalese economy. Let's do it that way. Alan,
could you raise fees?
Well, the fees are quite high as it is. You could put extra on, I guess. But I mean, I've heard all these arguments before about not going to Nepal, but I mean, people fly all over the world just to do marathons, and people at the moment will be flying to Spain, they'll be flying to Greece from Britain, and we're not rich people. Yes, we're richer than the people in Nepal. I mean, the agriculture is talking about Nepal is a subsistence economy. They feed each other. I don't think there's much Nepal exports, but, you might contradict me on that. Tourism is a realism. I don't think the people in Spain are going to be happy if you cut the flights to Spain. Yes, you could go by train, but it takes quite a while to go to Greece by train.
We could talk about this all morning, I believe.
All the flights.
Alan and Donnachadh, thank you both so much.